Yo, guys, I'm not gonna be in math class tomorrow. I'm gonna be in LA playing video games for a living. It was like just picturing that in my head was so cool.
So my handle is Verbo, and I play for Los Angeles Valiant.
Los Angeles Valiant will tie up the series.
That Valkyrie though, he manages to get both his DPS back up again.
There's proof and there's evidence that this is going somewhere.
So this is Verbo. He was a professional Overwatch player for 3 years and all around just a great guy, so we figured we'd bring him on to share his story so that hopefully you can learn a thing or two from him. We also finished out the episode with some advice, so you're going to want to stick around for that. If you don't know, this is our show Generation Next, where we bring you inside the esports and video game industry to give you tips and tricks on how you can make a career out of video games. If you want to learn how you can go pro in Overwatch, make sure to hit that subscribe button because next week we're bringing Verbo back to teach you just that. But for now, we're going to throw you right into our interview with Verbo on how he became a professional Overwatch player.
So I grew up in Toronto, Canada. Grew up with my grandparents until I was the age of 10, and then kind of moved out with my mom. My mom raised me on her own, and then kind of was always into playing games. I was playing the Game Boys, playing Nintendo DS. I was playing Xbox. It was really like huge when it came to Call of Duty. I was playing like 4 hours, 5 hours when I would get home from school. That's all I would be on. Black Ops 1 is probably my all-time favorite game, playing zombies. But it wasn't until my mom really brought home a laptop and I had these friends in my class. So I was in like the 8th grade. They were playing League of Legends, and they showed me what the LCS was. Pretty much never knew that esports or competitive gaming existed. And ever since then, I kind of like fell in love. I watched the first LCS match and was just immediately thought to myself, like, that's what I want to do. My mom hated the fact that I was online like all the time. As soon as I would get home from school, I'd kind of like throw my homework to the side and hop online like every other, high school kid that wanted to play games or whatever. My mom totally hated it. And then when I told her that I potentially wanted to like make this or do this full time, she lost it. She totally lost it on me. She would take the modem away from me. She would take the router. And again, understandably as a parent, you really don't want your kid to spend useless time online when I could have been making a life for myself going the traditional route, right? Like putting more focus on school, putting more focus on my grades, and kind of getting into a pretty prestigious university or college or whatever you want to call it. Eventually, I started picking up Overwatch at the age of 15 when the game first came out, and I knew I wanted to go pro in that game. I wanted to go pro in League of Legends, but it just didn't really work out. The scene was already really developed. And then when I picked up Overwatch, I was kind of like, it's a new slate, new game. Let's see what I can do in this one, and just immediately had my sights on pro as soon as I started playing. No, man, I got an actual PC. I got an actual PC. I got a PC with a 60 hertz monitor, like bottom of the barrel graphics card. I think it was running Overwatch at like 60 frames or whatever. It was awful, man. I think I had some money saved up because I was teaching kids how to swim. I was a swim instructor at the time. So I was making some pretty decent money at my age. And then I saved up for a 144 hertz monitor, and like as soon as when you swap from 60 to 144, it's a dream, man. Like you just the horizons open up as soon as you start getting that new monitor. I started playing Overwatch with my sights on going pro, so I knew I had to get myself integrated into scrims. I knew I had to play in some small amateur tournaments. So I started joining these teams that I was finding on Reddit or Discord, but I was kind of disappointed because a lot of the guys were just really disorganized. They would say we were scrimming at a certain time, and then they would just kind of flake off. And a lot of them just weren't professional. I could tell the guys that I was surrounded by just didn't have the same intentions as I did. They loved the idea of playing professionally, but they didn't really have the fire to actually put the work into it. They wanted it to kind of land in their lap, so to say. So I took it upon myself to make my own team. I felt like I could instill my own culture, kind of control the team the way I wanted, the way I felt like was the best. Kind of threw out a Reddit post online saying like, hey, this is my name. This is what I want to do. I'm going to go pro. This is what I expect of my teammates and of myself. I think I even mentioned my age. I was like, I'm 15. And this is what I want to do. If you guys want to hop on board, come and try out. And it was weird because holding tryouts while also being in the tryouts was a cool dynamic, and just kind of eventually worked my way from there. Like all those teams that I started, and then all those other amateur teams that I joined afterwards, they were really just stepping blocks to getting signed to an actual pro team, getting recognized. So after the teams that I made, I joined another team. It was called Harambe Comets. I know it's just super troll, but we were playing in some amateur tournaments, and this coach the guy that was coaching my team knew somebody on Immortals. Immortals was a really top tier organization, still is a top tier organization at the time. And he told me that they were looking for tryouts for a main support because that's the role that I was playing in Overwatch. And he asked me if I wanted to try out, or he asked me if I wanted him to put in a good word for me. But I was like, I don't know, for those of you guys who are watching, I was 3,500 SR. So pretty much I shouldn't even have been considered for the tryout. I wasn't even close to a high rank. It was a decent rank, but again, I shouldn't have gotten that tryout. I was nowhere near pro level. But one thing that I definitely brought was my communication. I love to be an IGL, and that's something that a lot of guys weren't doing at the time. So they eventually got me the tryout. I was on a 2-week trial basis, and then they eventually asked me to play in a tournament with them, which was part of the tryout. And we were playing against Cloud9, which is which was the best team in North America at the time, and we ended up beating them. And nobody really defeated them, especially Immortals, the team that I was on. And immediately, right then and there, like the night of, the CEO of Immortals called me and said, "We wanted to sign you. We're going to send you the contract your way," and stuff like that. Like right then and there, I knew that like all that work, all that sacrifice that I, you know, had kind of repaid itself. When he told me when he told me he was going to give me a contract, I was like waiting in my emails, man, just waiting for that contract to come. I wanted to see what I was getting paid. I wanted to see like what was happening. I just wanted everything to kind of like be finalized. I was getting paid a decent amount, like especially at my age. I was 15, 16 at the time. My mom totally did not want to sign it. She had to because I was still a minor. I wasn't 18 at the time. And the contract pretty much entailed that, the team that I was going to be playing for was going to be paying for my lodging. They were going to be paying me a base salary. I was going to be getting, the tournament earnings that me and my team would have won. And they were going to move me out to LA, which was crazy to me because, I was still in high school. And the fact that I was going to, go to school the next day after I signed the contract and say like, "Yo guys, I'm not going to be in math class tomorrow. I'm going to be in LA playing video games for a living." I was like, just picturing that in my head was so cool. Eventually, after some convincing and like phone calls with the CEO and with me and my mom eventually was convinced to sign it. She saw it was a good opportunity for me. We moved into a team house. It was in Redondo Beach, California. We had all our computers like lined up in the living room. And then each of us were kind of rooming with another teammate. Pretty much what the setup was. Our kind of routine, our schedule was we would wake up around like 9, go down to the beach for a run, which is crazy to me, living by the beach like that. And then we would come back, eat lunch or breakfast, late breakfast, and then we would hop into scrims for about 6 hours. And then we would play solo queue for another 2 hours. So it's about like 8 p.m. at the time. The other guys would choose if they wanted to stream or wanted to hang out, wanted to go out for a bite to eat or whatever afterward. When I first got signed, the team was doing really well. I mean, we were winning. We were slowly becoming the best team in North America, and then we ended up taking this $100,000 LAN tournament in San Antonio. But I remember winning on stage in front of that crowd, and I was totally like this is it. Like this is the dream. This is exactly what I've wanted. And I couldn't help but scream, but yell, like huddling the guys. And I wish I could feel that again. Like I love that feeling. I love the feeling of winning. I love the feeling of being in a brotherhood and kind of working together as a team towards a desired goal. Like that to me is the best. And the fact that we were able to do that was amazing. So I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that line event. After that, we started kind of falling off. Things weren't going really well. And then we started to pick up 2 new guys straight from Korea. Their names were Fade and Kriv. And that kind of like re-energized our team. We started taking first place, like big tournaments in North America. And we were still like solidifying ourselves as number 1. It was kind of a shock to the whole team because we started getting substitutes. So instead of it being a 7-man roster, it became a 12-man roster. So pretty much everybody that was a starter had somebody competing for their spot, which was a little bit of pressure that not everybody was used to. I totally was not used to it at the time. I was just used to, show up, perform, and that's it, and try to get along with my teammates. Instead, it was kind of, it became a competition, an internal competition, which I really can't stand. I didn't really like that at the time. Something I wasn't used to. Korean teams started joining the squad, like Korean teams, European teams. Everybody from all over was part of this league, and everybody's talent was kind of spread out. Yeah. So when I was in the league, I was struggling pretty bad. I was kind of being subbed in and subbed out because I was used to playing. For those of you guys who know, I was used to playing Lucio 24/7. Like that was my main character. And then when the Overwatch League started, Mercy became meta. I just couldn't fill those shoes. So I took a step back. I actually went to manage another amateur team, which is a contenders team. It's a league just below the Overwatch league. And I had a blast there. I was like being a general manager there, taking care of the players, using my experience to kind of help those guys out. And just kind of after that moment, realized like I did make the right decision from stepping away. I think for me, it was coming to the realization that, I couldn't keep up as much as I was kind of working for it. My strengths kind of lied elsewhere. And I just had to realize that instead of being internally frustrated and stubborn and saying like, no, I'm going to stick this out. Something that I should have heard that I wish I listened to was whatever you're doing right now, whether you're working a job, whether you're in school, stick to what you're doing right now and do this gaming thing, play this game on the side. That's it. If it's going to happen, it will. There's no need for insane amount of sacrifice. There's no need to drop whatever you're doing. The biggest mistake that I made was dropping absolutely everything in my life, relationships, responsibilities, even my school, in order to pursue this one goal. Sure, I did it, but I lost a lot of things along the way. And to me, it wasn't worth it. I wish I kept up with my relationships. I wish I kept up with my school. I wish I kept up with my job and my responsibilities and pursue that kind of on the side. So
that's going to do it for the interview. I hope you guys learned a lot from Verbo, and if you did, make sure to check him out on social media. He posts YouTube videos, and check out his Twitter and Instagram as well. Great guy, and you can learn a lot from him. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Coach All New with Generation Next, and we'll see you in the next video.